Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a webinar on unique and unusual liability exposures in restaurants and bars. Before we get started, just a little bit about Society Insurance. We're a regional insurance carrier that's based out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. We currently write business, though, in 9 different states. They're Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Tennessee, Colorado, Georgia, and Texas. We've been writing workers' comp insurance since 1915, but today we also do property, general liability, commercial auto. We have really specialized experience in protecting the hospitality industry. Our specialty is providing insurance for select business niches with a focus on small details that make the biggest difference. Today, we're going to review some unique liability hazards and exposures which are not found every day, and discover some resources that we have available to assist with identifying and correcting those issues. Today, we have 4 presenters. Myself, I'm Shelby Blundell. I've been with Society since 2010. A risk improvement rep that is handling the Chicagoland area and suburbs, the northern suburbs of Illinois. And we've got Jarrett Wagner.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I've been with Society for just under 15 years. I have been mostly in Illinois and have recently transitioned out into Colorado and am handling the entire state out that way.
Awesome. And then we got Carl.
And then I'm Carl Schramm. I've been in with Society Insurance for about 2.5 years. I handle the Chicagoland area and the south suburbs and up northern Indiana.
And we have also Brian Anderson.
Morning, everyone. I'm Brian Anderson, and I've been with Society Insurance in the risk department for the last 7 years. My territory is Southeast Wisconsin.
So as with everything, we have a little disclaimer to go along with this. As you heard, as everybody introduced themselves, we are coming to you also from across multiple states. We're doing these from our homes, as everybody's gotten used to. So I also have a little disclaimer that if there's a technical glitch, bear with us, or a couple of us have very vocal puppy dogs that like to participate. So if we get any background noise or anything, please bear with us. And I will turn it over to Jarrett.
Thank you, Shelby. Once again, I just want to thank everybody again for joining us today. As a little precursor, the last webinar that we did in 2022 reviewed the top 10 hazards that we encounter as risk professionals on a day-to-day basis. Those are extremely common exposures and pretty much familiar with anybody who has worked in the restaurant industry for even a short period of time. With today's presentation, we wanted to do something a little different and shine the light on some of the more uncommon or unique hazards that we see during our site visits. What kind of questions that you should be asking, or what kind of controls that you should maybe be seeing if you come across any of these. First up, we've got flaming drinks and desserts. Over the years, we've seen quite a few bars and restaurants try to experiment with flaming shots or desserts to their menu in order to increase excitement among customers. Apparently, the restaurant bar business is not exciting enough. In a few of these instances, we've seen establishments pouring and igniting lines of high alcohol drinks directly onto the bar counter and performing liquor cascades. Now, you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, hey, mixing alcohol and fire sure seems like a recipe for disaster. And you would be correct. So what could possibly go wrong with any of these? Go to the next slide. Just to kind of start off with some of the minor ones, we see a lot of severe skin burns on the hands and lips when the glassware gets too hot. We've also seen quite a few significant injuries to the mouth or throat when a customer is attempting to consume a drink that's still on fire. Our claims department has been involved with handling of files where customers have spit alcohol directly into the flames, resulting in flames traveling back into that individual's mouth. We've also unfortunately seen quite a few instances where the flaming liquor has splashed onto a customer's face, resulting in permanent disfigurement. Now, our marketing department advised us against showing a person with third-degree burns. And seeing as we are this close to the breakfast hour, I'm thinking I should probably thank them for that decision. As always, refrain from providing, participating, or promoting any activities that involve the ignition of drinks or food being served. Next up, we've got unauthorized access points. Now, your immediate association with unauthorized access points may be theft of valuables or some property damage. And we would like you to keep your focus on the safety of your customers and vendors as a priority there. If you have any unmarked doors or hallways in your facility, there is a better chance than not you're going to have unwanted explorers. Now, most of these situations are accidental and not intended to be malicious in any way, but we've had several claims involving customers who are just kind of walking around looking for a restroom, and they mistakenly open an unmarked door, which leads to a dark, steep staircase. If your customer's main concern is getting to the bathroom as quickly as possible, they're not going to let a dark hallway or stairwell scare them off. All it takes is one misjudged step, and they suddenly find themselves in a heap at the bottom of the stairs. This situation could have easily been avoided with locked doors. Now, if you are unable to barricade or lock the area off, clear and obvious signage should be visible from every direction. Restricted access or employee-only signs can really go a long way at deterring folks from exploring or just simply mistaking a door. On our next unique hazard, we've got some elevated stages. Occasionally, we encounter some larger stages which may have permanent or temporary stairs set up towards the back for performers to bring their equipment up and down. Those temporary structures should always be installed per the manufacturer's instructions. They need to be regularly inspected to ensure stability during use. Now, if those stairs are provided, do not allow people to jump or hop off the front of the stage. Even if it's only a few feet, we've seen some pretty severe injuries happen while people are trying to carry equipment on and off the stage. Now, for the most part, the stages that we see in our territories and in our book of business are small, and they can be accessed by a single step or a set of short stairs. You'll see on the slide here that when the stage isn't being used per performances, they'll set up additional tables, chairs for dining, and give themselves a little bit more space for customers. Now, these single-step transitions and short steps have long been recognized as potentially dangerous, and you can kind of see why in this photo. Unless they are provided with some sort of features to make them conspicuous to users, they are subject to not being noticed and can most likely result in a serious trip or a fall. Contrasting colors, accent lighting, railings, some sort of common visual cue can be added to alert people of their presence. And keep in mind, any visual cue should be clearly visible from both directions. Last on my end, first along a quick note regarding high chairs and booster seats. Now, these may often go unused for extended periods of time. Even if they're stored in a closet or off to the side somewhere, they need to be regularly inspected for deficiencies. You do not want to wait until the high chair has been requested by a customer to be alerted of any issues. These are almost always equipped with a warning label, and it details the dangers of improperly using the equipment. Make sure that is visible to your customers. Now, a little bit more common, most of us have at one point or another probably sat down on a wobbly chair or a bar stool. Normally, we just view this as a minor inconvenience and more annoying than anything else. But damaged furniture needs to be removed from the premises once it's been identified. It's only a matter of time before that slight wobble deteriorates to the point where it can't support any weight, eventually collapsing and sending an unsuspecting customer to the ground. As with high chairs, all furniture should be inspected at least semi-annually to identify and correct any potential hazards. And with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over.
All right. Yeah, I've even seen on bar stools where the seat cushion has come loose from the screws underneath, and it became a pinch hazard. It was loose, and so as they were moving, your finger can get caught up underneath that. So there's a lot of different, not just the whole chair collapsing, but even parts of it coming loose. I do have a quick poll question to get everybody thinking here a little bit. According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, how many emergency room visits annually occur due to use with playground equipment? Is it 5,000, 15,000, 100,000, or 200,000? Give everybody a chance to put in their vote. Looks like we got about 70% of everybody voted, so we'll give it just a second here. And we're up to 85%, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out. And looks like most people think it's 100,000. What's the correct answer?
So the correct answer is actually 200,000. So yeah, it's a very significant high number. And I'll kind of go over some issues we see with playground equipment, just in general here. So yeah, with playground equipment, some issues we see, burns, cuts, and other injuries if not properly inspected. So you're kind of thinking probably with burns, you think it's mostly just due with older metal equipment. It actually could happen with newer equipment that is not properly painted. So when the equipment is painted, it should be used with a heat-reducing paint. This will help reduce burns. And then another hazard we see with playground equipment is having open S-hooks. So this will mostly be on swings, children running by, catching themselves on it when they're not properly hooked, catch their clothes, cause them to fall, or even catch on their skin and cause them to fall to the ground. And then lastly, with the surfaces on the playground equipment, so equipment should be either used with 12 inches of wood chips or mats that are safely tested. This will help prevent injuries from falling, tripping, cause them to land on a softer surface. Next slide here. Great. And then, so another unique hazard we'll see with outdoor, mostly is with patio hazards. So this can include, chairs leaning on fences and other objects that are unsecured. So with the furniture, we've actually recently seen a uptick in some severe claims where patrons were sitting in chairs that were older and non-commercial grade. These could be, your patio chairs that you leave out in the sun for too long, cause damage on them. We've actually seen a very uptick in claims where, patrons are leaning back in them, causing them to fall, injuring their head, hitting their head on the ground. And same thing with fences that are up against the property. People, outside, standing up, leaning against them. If they're not properly maintained, these could, they could fall down and cause injury from falling through the fence. So kind of help out with this, signs should be placed to not lean on objects, especially fences that are older and may need some work completed on them. And then employees should be instructed once they do see issues with the fence where there is breaking them or there is some damage on them that they should talk to management and get this replaced right away. And then kind of last one we see more common is with unsecured patio equipment. So if you do see like a major windstorm coming in, or even just, obviously in Chicago, right on the lake here, we get some strong winds. You got to make sure your umbrellas are properly secured. We've actually seen a lot of claims where those equipment, the umbrellas will come up flying, causing damage to patrons that are sitting outside. So make sure that they're properly secured. And if you do see a strong storm coming in, to make sure to take them down and place them inside as soon as possible. Look at another outdoor risk we see is just outdoor ponds and docks. So with the docks especially, you got to make sure that the walking surface is flush as possible, especially with the wood on it, where sometimes they are sticking up where it is, if it is dark outside and patrons aren't seeing, they could smash their foot into it or, cause a tripping hazard. And then if you do have a pond on your property, you do need to make sure that there is proper safety signs and safety equipment throughout the property. This will include having ladders, safety rings, and proper warning signage to not go into the water, and to have proper safety numbers in case something does happen. You have the right numbers to call for help. And last, with winter seeing see a lot of fire pits, especially now with the weather changing. So when you do have an open fire pit, there's potential exposure. Patrons sitting too close. Signs should be placed throughout to not sit on the equipment and make sure that they are not sitting too closely, especially if there are strong winds that could come that blow the flame or any debris onto them. So when you do have an open fire pit like this, there should be guards placed on the side that it rest higher than the open flame. This helps prevent with strong winds and patrons burn themselves from the opening. And then if you do have a fire pit that is used with propane, there should be the emergency safety switch, or all staff should be properly trained on how to shut the fuel off in case there is an emergency. And then last, if you do use the propane, there needs to be proper storage of propane tanks. So you don't want these stored outdoors. You want these stored outdoors and away from any potential physical damage. So you don't want them just up against, in the parking lot where a driver could come in and accidentally bump into them. You want them stored away from everything, and you want them stored away from where there's excessive temperature increases. Now I will turn it over to Brian for some recreational activity exposures.
Thank you, Carl. Next slide, please. Many restaurants and bars offer a variety of different leagues to join, such as sand volleyball, softball, darts, billiards, beanbag, even horseshoe. Each participant should fill out a waiver form of liability, and league rules should be posted near the activity area. Discounted or free beer or alcohol should not be provided to the participants.
All right. Got another poll question for everybody. Get everybody thinking again a little bit. So what are the most common injuries resulting from mechanical bull riding incidents? Is it A, fractures, B, contusions and abrasions, C, strains and sprains, D, broken necks? This might be a sneak peek as to what topic is coming up next also. While everybody's getting their answers in on this one, I will also mention that there'll be a quick question and answer period at the end when we get through all of the slides. So if you come up with any questions, you can always enter them into the questions or the chat tab. I'll check both of those when we get to the Q&A part. So if you have any questions, we'll try to answer them as best we can when we get to that. So we've got about 85% of everybody voted. Let's go ahead and close it out. Looks like most people think sprains and strains, Brian.
And that is correct. According to the National Library of Medicine, about 31.1% of all mechanical bull riding injuries are strains and sprains. Mechanical bull riding can cause severe injuries to your customers. Not only can people be hurt when they're falling off the bull, but they can also be hurt by getting hit by the bull, getting tangled up and unable to get off, and during the bucking motion. Injuries, as we talked about, include the strains and sprains, fractures, contusions to your head, neck, and back, arms, legs, and even groin injuries. Boxing and knockout machines, where they test your strength, can cause multiple injuries in your establishment. Customers can injure their hands, arms, neck, heads, and even their faces using these machines. There's been many videos on YouTube and other video sources where you can see some of these people using these machines incorrectly. While these machines may bring about a friendly competition, fights can occur. Dancing can be a lot of fun when it's done appropriately. The tables and chairs should be removed from the dance floor. No food or drinks should be allowed on the dance floor. Spills and moisture create a slippery atmosphere and can cause injuries, so you should clean up any spills immediately. And a common issue with when drinks are on the dance floor, glass gets dropped and breaks, and then you have some significant lacerations, people's feet, arms, any other body part you can think of. Also, dancing should be should be safe for the dance floor and never on a bar top.
I can't imagine that anybody has ever done that at a bar in history. All right. We do have a lot of helpful resources available to help with take control of the risks that we've mentioned today. Society Insurance does have an extensive risk control library. We have handouts in English and Spanish on just about every topic you can imagine. Our YouTube channel always has all of our old webinars and training videos as we've done them over the past that you can always view anytime for free on demand. So if you get a new employee and want them just to sit down and watch 2 or 3 specific videos that you think are important to your specific business, that's good free training that they can sit down and do anytime. Just watch it on their smartphone from a booth in the front or something like that. We also do have a training video library that's available for free to all of our policyholders. You can see that there's over 400 different topics that just cover everything imaginable. So check that out. It's societyinsurance.com under the risk management tab. We also have a lot of partnerships and discounts, things like ServSafe that everyone in the bar business, has to have their liquor training, the sexual harassment, all of those things, and you guys, policyholders, can get a discount on those classes, which is always helpful to save a few bucks. So we'll do a quick Q&A. Let me check and see if we've had some questions come in. Looks like the first one, somebody asked about the punch-out machine. Brian, you were talking about the punch-out machine, and they said, what should I do if I already have one?
That is a great question. We recommend discontinuing the use of the machine immediately and then having your vending company remove it from the property immediately.
Okay. And then also have, like somebody was asking about fire screens on a fire pit. Says, do I always need a fire screen for my fire pit, or are there exceptions? Carl, you were talking about the fire pits. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, so we always want on the larger ones, especially the ones that are using with logs and wood, those should have a fire screen or guard on those, because those flames can get pretty high. But with some of the newer ones where you have the propane, where it's just a small flame with like the fake rocks and everything around it, those flames aren't usually they're self-contained in something, so those ones aren't necessary. It's more just with the larger flames, the open fire pits, we want to get guards on those.
Okay. And then somebody asking if we will email out the slides from today's presentation. And we don't typically email out the slideshow itself, but this is recorded and it'll be posted as soon as it processes. It'll be posted on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch it again anytime on the YouTube channel. All right. That is looks like all the questions we have. So I want to thank everybody for taking some time with us today. Hope this shines some light on a few unique exposures that we have pop up around. It's always interesting in the hospitality industry. If you want to learn more about Society Insurance, you can go to www.societyinsurance.com, and hope everybody will join us for the next webinar that we have coming up soon. All right, thank you very much.